we gave a couple of days off to start the week this week, to remove everybody a little bit, and now everybody's back. I think the players are mentally in a good spot to play the game, and we're looking forward to it. We're playing a team that at this moment needs the game, so I think it's a good opportunity to play a very competitive match, and that's what we need to do. We need to be competitive and try to look for a win.
Thank you for that. We'll go with Corey next. Go ahead, Corey.
Hey, Coach. What's the Dynamo's focus for this game on Sunday?
Yeah, that's a good question, because obviously the number one focus is always to win the games. At the same time, we've had a few players who haven't had as much of an opportunity, and I'm looking to open up the roster a little bit for this weekend and give some opportunities to guys that haven't gotten as much.
I guess you don't want to give away lineup to Colorado, but can you give us any hints about who that could be, or maybe you don't want to?
No, I think at this moment, we're going to decide on the lineup tomorrow. We're letting the players kind of battle it out in training and work hard and prove that they deserve some minutes. They know that it's open right now for them to have an opportunity to play. So tomorrow we'll decide. Yeah, it's not, not trying to hide anything. It's just kind of what we're looking at.
As you look back on the season as a whole, what do you think you can get out of these last two games that would be meaningful to you, the players, to the fans?
I think for us to remain really competitive, for us to see maybe some of the guys in the roster who haven't gotten much of an opportunity to be competitive and to compete for a spot on the roster going into next year. Just yesterday I went through, the stats of the season and just purely looking at, expected goals for and expected goals against, how we really, just on that alone, we should have gotten 12 wins instead of 6. So there was a lot that I looked at yesterday in terms of stats and a lot of things that could have gone our way that haven't gone our way. And obviously that's an evaluation that we'll have to do more at the end of next week as we look into the future. But it was, I dug into that a lot yesterday, and unfortunately it didn't work out the way we wanted it. That's for sure.
And what would it mean for you to close the regular season with the home regular season with the win at the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important for us to get any win, to be fair, but it would be a good way to send off our fans. I know that they've been there for us, and and some people, we could sit and complain about the people who don't go to the stadium, but the fact is there are fans who go to the stadium every week, and we're thankful for that. We're thankful for the guys who have been there with us the whole year. It was not an easy year, but it was a very competitive year in which I think we should have gotten a lot more than we did. But for all the fans that have been there the whole time, we're really appreciative of that, and hopefully we can send them out into the winter with a win.
Thanks.
Victor, go ahead.
Hey, Tab. I know there's a lot of talk, now that the game's, there's no playoff implications, right, for playing time for younger players. But I do want to ask you on that topic, how much has it hurt, these players, right, like a Fuenmayor or like a Bajamich or a Bartlow, to not have a reserve team or even a reserve league where they can be getting minutes regularly?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. It hurt them a lot, actually, because it's difficult to keep them in good form. The players, obviously, they want to work as hard as they can during practice, but there's a lot of weeks on which we play Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and during those weeks, as we barely train. In terms of the competitiveness of the training, you go through the set pieces, you go through all the tactical components of preparing for the other team, all those things, but you actually don't compete as much in between games. And I think, if you take a Saturday game in which you don't do anything, and then you go to Wednesday in which you're resting for that game, and then you play on Wednesday, and then you're resting for Saturday, the guys that don't play are really falling behind, although physically our or high performance department does a great job in keeping their numbers high, is not the same as playing. It's not the same as having that competition, and it hurts them a lot. But I know that, many MLS teams have had that issue this year. And I know that with the changes that MLS is making going into next year in the under 23 league, I think a lot of those issues will be solved, and that's going to be great for all the young players.
How much do you think they've been set back this year alone, and maybe even in comparison to, guys like a Palomino or a Bazama who were able to go on loan somewhere else?
I mean, we can look back without making this too long. We can look back at, we signed here, Juan Castilla and Danny Rios back in like November or December of 2019. And if you think about it, we went through basically a full year of COVID in which nobody played. So sometimes when you're an older player, you can get away with that because you just have a longer break, but you're used to the grind. But when you're a young player and you don't play for that long, and now you find yourself going into season against veteran guys, and now you're not playing games and you don't necessarily have that secondary team, you've basically spent almost 2 years without playing competitive games. And for those younger guys, it almost separates you more from the first team than when you started in 2019. So it's been really difficult. It's been really difficult. I think we have some talented players here, but definitely the last year and a half has been really, really hard for them to close the gap with the first team players.
In terms of those guys specifically, like Rios and Castilla, do you feel they made the right choice going pro that young? Or do you think maybe those guys would have benefited, maybe foregoing that, going to college and then coming back after 4 years?
No. I think we, the right thing was done with those guys. I just think what also would have helped, the younger players would have been had the first team been more successful, because when you're more successful and you get more wins, you have more of an opportunity to experiment with your, and I don't want to say experiment in a bad way by just throwing people out there, but you can, when the team is confident and you're winning games, it's a lot easier to throw a young player in without the responsibility. And unfortunately, we haven't had that chance.
Obviously, reports are out there. Pat Onstad, new general manager, just kind of retouch that subject. How well do you know him? And what kind of conversations have come up, just, soccer wise, when you've crossed paths with him, throughout your career?
Yeah, I mean, as you know, because I was a U20 coach for so long and national team assistant coach, I pretty much got to talk to all the GMs and assistant GMs for the last 8 to 10 years. So I know a lot of those guys. In particular, I don't know Pat any better than I would know someone else. So if that's the case, obviously there's been no official announcement from the club that this is actually what's happening. The one thing I can tell you is that I think it's really important for a club in MLS, and in particular a club like us, to hire someone who is very familiar with MLS and who has been in this, has done this, who knows the grind of MLS, who knows the American player, and who has all that experience. And I think, I think if that were to be the case, I think it would be a great move for the club.
Maxi, how's this week been as you guys prepare for Sunday's game against Colorado? ¿Cómo ha sido? Sí, puedo responder en inglés. ¿Cómo ha sido la semana para jugar?
We had a good week. It's difficult now. The situation is not good because we don't play for the playoffs. But we know these two games really important for us. We need win, and we see what happens next year.
Corey, go ahead.
Hey, Maxi, I'm curious how important it is to the team to in your final home game of the regular season to put on a good performance.
It's very important for the team and for the fans, It's the last game for this year, and the more important thing is the players don't play too much this year, have a minute, and play very well like a good team is Colorado.
This one's kind of random, but Boniat Garcia, what can you say about the impact he's had as a veteran on this team? And I'm sure you've seen him throughout the years before you played for Houston too.
I know Bonnie because when I play for the other team, I play versus Bonnie. For me, he's an amazing guy. He's an excellent player. He don't play too much this year, but for me, he have a very quality. And you know, Bonnie in this club is the president, and for me, it's amazing. I don't know if he play or no, but he need a lot of minutes for I don't know next year.
What is he like in the locker room? Like, what does he bring, even if he doesn't have as many minutes on the field? What impact does he have on the team in the locker room?
We have, for me, the best group in this club because all players work hard every day, never say nothing. The group stay together all the time, and the guys inside and outside, we are focused for the game and positive.